Okay, everybody. I want to do a review of difference of squares. I looked at your first practices. Some of you mastered it really well. Others, I think, are struggling with this. So pay attention to this carefully. Okay? So you already have the notes from the previous video, but I want to abbreviate the steps. And if you notice that the concept of difference of squares is that you have two variables in this case, or two terms. And really is, if I analyze this, it's really the first term squared minus the second term squared. Okay, that's what you see from the bottom here. Now if I want to factor this, it becomes a plus b times a minus b. Now, a and b can be variables, can be functions, can be integers, right? So that's the thing you need to, whatever, if I give you a squared plus b squared in a weird way, you have to know which one is a, which one is b. So, but that's difference of squares formula is right there. Now, let's look at some of the practices that you've done here. First of all, look at number 5. When we talk about difference of squares, if it's the sum of squares, no, this doesn't work. There's no way to do this because this is sum of squares, not difference of squares. Okay? Now, what is difference of squares? If you look at number 1, a squared minus 4. So if I can write something squared minus the second thing squared, the 4 is 2 squared. And now this formula says a plus b, so it's a plus 2 times a minus b, which is a minus 2, right? Again, I will write the formula of difference of squared here. So you really have to know what is a, what is b. Look at number 2. I have perfect square in n squared. If I were to rewrite it, it would be 8 squared is 64. So then the first one is a plus b times a minus b. My a is my n, my b is the base, 8 here. So it's n plus 8 times n minus 8. I'll skip around a little bit. Number 8. Number 8, if I have to write it into a squared minus b squared, how do I rewrite it into a perfect square? 5x times 5x gives me 25x squared. 49 is 7 squared. Therefore, this is 5x plus 7 times 5x minus 7. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is to verify your answers against the answer key of this first page and correct the ones that you did not do correctly before we move on. And this is a good time to pause the video and then finish what I asked you to do. Now, once you complete that, I'm going to ask you to go to the second page, and I will do some of these more challenging ones with you. So again, I'm here, oops, sorry about that. I'm looking for, I'll make this a little bit bigger. I'm looking for a squared, something squared, minus another squared, right? So how can I rewrite this into the whole thing squared? It's just xy squared. And then 1 squared is the same. So now I have xy, a plus b times a minus b equals a squared minus b squared. Same thing here. How can I rewrite this into a square? And then the second one is obviously 5 squared. 81, if I square root it, is 9. N raised to the 4th is, and it's 4 minus 2 gives me, 4 divided by 2, it gives me 2, right? So I should have n squared plus 5 times 9n squared minus 5. Okay. Now, the next one is a little bit more challenging. I can do this. I can do, for example, I'm looking for something squared minus something squared. 4c squared is easy. 2c times 2c is 4c squared. Now, d squared, I can just square root d. I have d. But what do I do with 5? I can put in root 5. So now I have 2c plus root 5d times 2c minus root 5d. Because again, this is my a and this is my b. So it's a times a plus b times a minus b, right? Make sure it's all matched up. Now, because for this problem, number 15, because we are only looking in the integer world, we don't we're only looking into the rational world. We're not dealing with irrational numbers yet. So if you leave this blank, I'm actually okay, because obviously 5 is a prime number. So I'm okay that you don't know how to do this yet, but you really have all the knowledge to do that, right? Same thing here. Rewrite the first term into something squared minus second term into something squared. 49, if I square root it, is 7. M raised to the 4th, square rooted, is m squared. 16 squared is 4. So my answer is a plus b times a minus b. Okay? Now, here, again, something squared minus something squared. 16 is easy. 4 times 4. K6 squared, if I square root it, it will be k cubed, right? So it's k cubed plus 4 times k cubed minus 4. Number 18, something squared minus something squared. So 4 square root, I would have 2. P raised to the 4th power, if square rooted, I should have power of 2. Square root of 25 is 5. So it's 2p squared plus 5 times 2p squared minus 5. Okay. Bigger numbers doesn't make it harder. It's still the same thing. So 121, if I take a square root, is 11. R raised to the power 6, if I take a square root, right? Think about it. If I take a square root, there's an invisible 2 here. 6 divided by 2, that's how I came up with r cubed. And 1, however you square it, is still 1. So now my a plus b times my a minus b. Now the second one, number 20th, not the second one, the last one, something squared minus something squared. So let's square root it if I want to take a square out. 8 times 8 is 64. Square root of m raised to the 4th is m squared. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of n squared is n. So now is 8m squared plus 3n times 8m squared minus 3n. Okay, this part is pretty hard, guys. It's not because the math part is that hard, but because you really have to know, you really have to be super comfortable with substitution, truly understand what is a plus b times a minus b equals a squared minus b squared. Okay, so finish this notes and I will leave you homework on the board. Thanks, guys. Bye.